This channel is over 2 years old now, and we discuss piano and keyboard artists. Why have I never done a video on Ultravox yet? Shame on me, shame on me. Hi guys, and welcome to Piano and Keyboard Artist, where we discuss the artists related to pianos, keyboards, and synthesizers. And this is my very first Ultravox video, and it's about time. And we're going to analyze their epic song, Vienna. So in this video, we are going to analyze and break down Vienna in its structure and parts. Please note that this is not a note-for-note tutorial, so if you're looking for that, then you're better off looking on YouTube. There are tons of videos where they break it down note for note. However, I will break this song down into its parts, and we will discuss it in free-flowing style as I do on this channel. And then at the end, I will play it on acoustic piano so that you can hopefully hear it in a different way. Remember, when you strip all the electronics away and you play it just on the piano, you are focusing just on the melody and not the technology and things like that. So I hope to point out to you what a beautiful song this is. Ultravox released Vienna on the 9th of January 1981, and this is an epic song. This is one of those songs that most people know, even if they're not an Ultravox fan. It's one of those songs you can play to someone, you can say, have you heard this before? They'll be like, oh yeah, of course I've heard that. Who's the artist? So this song was, dare I say, overplayed. It got tremendous commercial success all over the world. And, you know, it's something I, heard growing up. It's something that you hear in the background in supermarkets, shops, everywhere. It's just was a hugely successful song. Now, I'm not a huge Ultravox fan. However, since I've started this channel, I've been inundated with requests for Ultravox videos. People have been sending me songs, vinyls, and everything. And I must say, the more I analyze this, the more appreciation I get for it. And funny enough, taking a song like Vienna that has been overplayed for many years, once you forget about all that and you strip it back, I'm here to tell you that this is an outstanding song. And, it became famous for a reason. And this is one of those songs that deserves all the fame and airplay it got, because it is absolutely brilliant. This song for me is one of those perfect examples of where it bridges the gap between electronic sound and, acoustic real instruments. I love electronic music, but, these days, pretty much everything's electronic. And there's a tendency for everything to be so like over-polished and overproduced. But even back in the 80s, around about the time this came out, what I love about this, it was so ahead of its time. This is not an electronic song. Of course, there is a bass line played on the Moog. There are synthesized sounds in it, but it also has a violin. It has a grand piano. And I just love the rawness and the soulfulness of Midge Ure's vocals. It's not over-processed. It's just, this is a very honest performance. And Conny Plank, who produced this, rest in peace, Conny Plank, he did an outstanding job. As I get older and I listen to things with different ears, I get a newfound appreciation. And also, once again, when you look at what technology was available back in those days, they did an outstanding job with this track. It is absolutely amazing. But once again, I just love the way it bridges the gap between electronic music and, real music, using real instruments, so to speak. So it has that electronic sort of background, or, bum bum, bum 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 bum, but the live piano played over the top, and the soulful vocals of Midge and the violin, it just has so much richness to it, as we're about to demonstrate. If we start with the structure of this song, like a lot of great songs, it's simple, but there are a lot of layers and little parts to it that make it sound a lot more complex than it actually is. But the root of the song is very straightforward. It's really just a C. We walked in the cold air. Freezing wind from a window pane, lying waiting. Okay, so that's sketched out on a piano. What's fascinating about the actual production on the record is that the transition from the C to the F, it's not actually sketched out. There are no shell chords that kind of go, there's a C, there's an F, there's none of that. It's intelligently sort of just like suggested using, you know, notes from the C scale and the F scale. It's a little bit like when you watch certain movies. There are, you know, some movies have they have this exposition where they kind of like explain everything away. This is an idea musically, really, where they're kind of respecting the intelligence of the listener, and the way it's kind of like there are minimal parts put into it which suggest a C or an F chord, but it's never sort of fleshed out. So it's really sort of like respecting the listener, so to speak. I mean, that's the way I see it. The sound I've got up here is it's just a sound for demonstrational purposes. I haven't sort of tried to replicate the sound that they're using on the record, but it is the same type of sound. Yeah, it's like a phasing type of pad sound. What I loved about the music video of this record, if we can quickly jump ship, it's one of those few music videos where the video actually suits the way it sounds. You know, often you will hear a song and you'll see the music video and they just don't go together, you know, and that is an artistic decision. But this particular song, I remember that music video, just them standing in the cold there, and that sort of that courtyard, and you know the vapor coming out of their mouth. And when you listen to the coldness of those sounds, it just, you know, the visuals and the music just go well together. And the funny thing is, I mean, I heard this song long before I saw the video, and when I saw the video for the first time, I did think, wow, that's exactly the way I imagined it. So if you never saw this music video, it just sounds cold. You know, they just encaptured it perfectly. And, you know, Conny Plank was a incredible producer, which we should talk about more on this channel. But just the sort of way this song starts, it starts off with just like a droning, then boom, 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 boom. And then you've got the drum machine, which was a Roland CR78, I believe. And that's just very, very simple. Boom, boom. And then the first note you sort of get is this E. And then you get Midge going, we walked in the cold air, freezing wind from a window pane, lying waiting. So you see how the C and the F chord is kind of suggested. It's not sort of like spelt out like there's a C, there's an F. It's really sort of intelligently sort of spelt out, respecting the listener. Of course, there are these sort of iconic parts, and one of those is this one. Do, 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 do. And that, of course, that is also emphasized on the piano at some point, which is do, 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 do. So as I say, if you watch the Live Aid version or several other live versions, there are parts that sometimes they kind of improvise on, you know, because of for the sake of improvisation. But there are certain parts that are always played sort of note for note, because those are like the iconic parts. And this indeed is one of those iconic parts. Like that. And of course, don't forget the chorus part, which is we'll get to that in a moment. Right, so let's starting off with the structure. You've got the walked in the cold air, and there's just dot-dom, dot-dot-dot-dot. There's no bass, or there's no, as I say, there's no shell chord which is sort of spelling out a C or an F chord. There were just these atmospheric, pad notes being used. So the story so far: we walked in the cold air, freezing wind from a window pane, lying waiting. Then we're just sketching it. Then when we get to the bridge, it's just this simple. It's kind of like a short bridge into a chorus, and then Midge gives he does a really sort of. I love the way he sings the song. We walked in the cold air. It's really sort of deep and soulful, and then he just kicks into this high male tenor. Now I can reach that pitch, but I'm just going to do it in a light head voice because I don't want to belt it, because it's going to be a very intense tutorial if I do. But he goes to his head voice and he goes. The feeling is gone, only you and I, it means nothing to me, oh Vienna. Just head voice, okay, as I say, I'm not going to belt it. But from here, and then we've got this part. Oh, Vienna! And he holds it. I just love the vocal he does in this. It's very, as I say, it is a head voice, but he belts behind it to give it that power. And it's very, when it gets to that point, it's very kind of musical theatre in a way. And this song does combine elements of, electronic. It has got a real sort of like classical feel to it. And that is emphasized by this... it's just something really classical and very classy about it. Now, when we get to this, the second verse, now we get the Moog bass kicking in, which is simple. It just goes from the C to the G. It's very simple. And what's interesting about this part is it is only sort of like the C part of the bass that is emphasized. What I mean by that is it goes. And although the chords go to an F, although they are not completely fleshed out, as I mentioned earlier, the bass never goes to the bass never ever goes to an F. The bass simply is just simple. That's what's great about the song. It just breathes. So it's bum 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 bum. Then we get the piano parts coming. Music is calling. I don't know the words, by the way. It's very simple, just C to F. But once again, because I'm playing it on the piano, I am sketching it out, and we'll do an improvisation. Of course, the second verse is the same as the first verse, obviously different lyrics, more added, like the bum 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 bum, which is just the bass line once again, which is just simple. Just it never actually goes to the F, which is clever. It's just it's not fleshing it out to you. It's just leaving it to your intelligence. Of course, then we get to the and then to the B flat again. The feeling is gone, only you and I, it means nothing to me. And then once again, oh Vienna. Then we get back to gets to this part goes. And then we get the double speed, and then we have this melodic part. And then back to the chorus. This means nothing to me. This means nothing to me. Oh, Vienna. I promise you I'll show off one day. I will perform that for you and belt it and everything. But for now, that's all you're going to get. Right, so I will now do the piano improvisation. And the improvisation, as I say, it's taking elements and the gist of the song and kind of just improvising it and flowing with it, but not improvising to the point that it becomes jazz, but just taking the fundamental parts of the song and kind of like flowing with them. And an example of that would be if we get to the chorus, we've got this part. But then, of course, there's his vocal part. It means nothing to me, which is the... So combining the It's Get Nothing to Me vocal part with the piano part as an improvisation, you would kind of get something like this. You see, that's when you kind of combine with an improvisation like this. And you can learn this if you're interested in piano coaching. Hit me and I'll on the email, and I'll talk to you if you're interested. But on the improvisations like this is because you've only got two hands, you're taking the some of the vocal parts and you're kind of meshing them and gelling them with some of the iconic music parts, and it sounds something like this. I'm no concert pianist. I'm self-taught, but I will have a go. Guys, I hope you enjoyed that. My very first Ultravox video. Please leave your comments in the description below. Let me know what you'd like me to elaborate on future videos so far as Ultravox is concerned. Let me know what you think of Ultravox. Anything you want to say about Ultravox. Some good news as well. As you guys know, my good friend and regular contributor to this channel, Mr. Brian Griffin, he will be coming on soon, and we will be talking all about the Ultravox album covers, because of course he photographed several of their album covers, including Vienna. So it'll be great to bring him on, and you know, let's talk about a bit of Ultravox for a change, and let me know your thoughts. My friend, if you're new, I'm welcoming you with open arms to my channel. Hit that subscribe button, join this community, and don't be a stranger. To the rest of you who've been here since the beginning, thank you so much for your support. I look forward to seeing you guys on the next video. Adios. See ya.